Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here. It's Wednesday night, which can only mean one thing, AEW Dynamite on TNT. It's the fallout from All Out, so if you haven't watched my action figure review for that yet, be sure to check it out. As always, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also talk to me over on Twitter at PSUOptimus, or see all my best figure photography on Instagram at Wrestling Optimus. Now, for a review and some fantasy booking, let's take it over to the action figures. Dynamite opens with Tony Schiavone in a parking lot. He's joined by Chris Jericho and MJF, losers of their respective matches at All Out. Jericho says MJF was screwed because the ref didn't see Moxley use the paradigm shift, and he knows MJF will be AEW champion very soon. MJF says that means a lot coming from a legend like Jericho. He's disgusted that Chris even had to touch Orange Cassidy, let alone lose to him twice. It's criminal, and Max guarantees he'll regain that championship someday. They bump elbows and wish each other a great show. But as they walk away, they each say, "What a loser." In what's become a tradition, we start immediately with a fast-paced, high-flying match. In this case, Jurassic Express versus the Lucha Brothers with Eddie Kingston. Early on, Jungle Boy slips on Luchasaurus's back. JR explains how hot it is and says things are slippery, a convenient cover for Matt Seidel's botched debut at All Out. On a sad note, Excalibur says the man who trained Jurassic Express passed away recently. My condolences to their friends and family. Speaking of the dinosaur, he gets the hot tag and runs wild, hitting a massive chokeslam on Phoenix. Later, Penta yells, "Zero miedo," before the brothers nail Jungle Boy with a package piledriver. Phoenix hits Luchasaurus with a plancha on the outside, and I totally thought that was the ending, but Jungle Boy kicks out. He throws Phoenix into Pentagon, causing him to accidentally hit his brother with a Canadian destroyer. Jungle Boy rolls up Phoenix and steals the victory. Afterwards, the Lucha Bros start to bicker as the Butcher and Blade join them in the ring. Eddie Kingston chastises them similar to the way he did a few weeks ago. He gets in some digs, saying he's here for these guys, unlike Pac, and asks the Blade where his wife is. That would be Allie, who's currently kayfabe dating QT Marshall. He demands that the Lucha Brothers shake hands. Then, Eddie drops the bomb I was waiting for. In the Casino Battle Royale, he never went over the top rope, so technically he was never eliminated. He screams, "Look up the rules," and winks at the camera. It was a little bit repetitive, but nothing is like an Eddie Kingston promo. The Lucha Brothers are in Series 2 of the unrivaled line of action figures. My pre-order is set, so I should be getting them this fall. None of Jurassic Express are in Series 1 or 2 though, so I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer for them. Jake Roberts is with Lance Archer backstage. Jake says there was never a doubt that Lance would win the Casino Battle Royale. Now he's coming for Moxley. Archer says Mox has been the champ for far too long. It's going to come to an end and the Murder Hawk monster will be champion. Then, everybody dies. It's time for possibly the most anticipated part of the show. Matt Hardy makes his way to the ring to speak about what happened at All Out. He says it's so great to feel a live audience's energy again and thanks the fans at home for watching. He especially thanks everyone for the outpouring of love he received after taking a scary fall at the show. He'll make a full recovery, but he recognizes he's the luckiest man alive, not the toughest, as his shirt would suggest. He apologizes for what he put his family and the fans through. Finally, he says he's glad his feud with Sammy is over because it was escalating to a dangerous place. Now he can move on to chasing his first AEW championship, much to the delight of Private Party. That was good. I still think he should have done a little more admitting how stupid he was for continuing that match, and maybe even mention that they're going to look into updating their clearly broken concussion protocols, but this was a hell of a lot more than anything we'd ever get from WWE, so I'll take it. After a decent match on Dark last night, Angelico of the Hybrid 2 is out to take on freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Angelico gets a cheap shot in right at the opening bell. Then he blocks Orange from putting his hands in his pockets and moves into a series of unique submission holds. Cassidy gets serious, hitting a crossbody and a DDT, then follows it up with the Orange Punch and gets the win. As he casually celebrates, Cassidy is attacked from behind by Proud and Powerful. Best friends come out to make the save. Chuck grabs a mic and says this feud has gone too far and needs to end. They challenge Santana and Ortiz to a parking lot brawl next week. I think this is the match they were forced to cancel at the start of the pandemic. Trent says next week they're not coming to hug each other. They're coming to hurt these guys and make his mama proud. That doesn't mean they can't give the people exactly what they want tonight, though, as they sandwich Orange Cassidy in a giant hug. Alex Marvez attempts to get a word from the Young Bucks about the breakup of the Elite, but ends up getting super kicked instead. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford are out to announce who the best man will be at their upcoming wrestling wedding. Kip immediately dismisses Tony Schiavone, calling him Timmy, then promotes his Twitch. Finally, he introduces the best man, but it's just some fat guy that's apparently one of his Twitch subscribers. He's confused because Kip told him, "You're the best, man," in a text. They repeat this joke with birthday boy Brian Pillman Jr., whose present is that Kip says they're not even friends. Okay, one last time. The best man is equally as handsome, if not more so, than Kip. He is... Holy fucking shit, it's Rusev! I mean, Miro! He's back, looking like 90s Eminem with a bleached blonde buzz cut. The crowd goes insane, chanting, "Miro Day! Miro Day! Miro Day!" He claims that he spent 10 years in the same house under a glass ceiling with an imaginary brass ring. Well, you can shove that ring right up your ass. Of course he'll be Kip's best man. But he's not just a best man, he's the best man. He's the best gamer and the best wrestler. He is Miro, and he is all elite. Then he glares directly into the camera like a badass. Oh my god, this was absolutely incredible. Rusev was always one of my favorites in WWE, and I hated how they misused him. So here's my fantasy booking for him in AEW. I know a lot of people are going to complain that it's just another WWE guy crapping all over the company, but I don't care. During Kip and Penelope's wedding, lampoon the hell out of the Bobby and Lana wedding. Have a woman come down crying that she's Penelope's lesbian lover. Have someone jump out of a cake. Really ham it up. This should be a complete shit show because the trick is you only do it once. Otherwise, it's petty. At the very end is the cherry on top. We hear a voice clear their throat over the PA. Me. It's Miro Day. Out comes Aiden English for a one-time appearance to sing the official Miro Day Best Man song. We cut to commercial with Miro in the middle of a completely trashed ring, smiling like an idiot and waving at the camera as people are screaming, women are crying, and Kip is inconsolable. Then we never speak of this again. Tony Schiavone is backstage with Hangman Page after his loss and the breakup of the Elite. He asks how Adam is doing, and gets a stock answer. So Tony asks how he's really doing. Short answer, he blames himself. The Bucks should have been number one contenders, but he cost them and lost them as friends. He was tricked into believing that just because FTR look and talk like him, that they are like him, but they're not. Now he feels like he's poisoned from head to toe. Tony asks about Kenny. Page says they've gotten through a lot of tough times together. This may be the toughest, but he hopes they get through this too. Maybe he won't join my Fantasy Four Horsemen after all. That just means we're back to my original idea of Cody and Shawn Spears teaming up with FTR and having their managers, Tully and Arn, team up again to help them out. Chris Jericho comes out with Jake Hager to a chorus of Judas. After squashing Joey Janela last week, the bad boy is back with his partner Sonny Kiss for some no DQ tag team action. Joey and Sonny have really developed as a team, and it shows with some good teamwork early on. Leave it to Janela to grab the first weapon. He takes a chair to the back of Jericho. Then they brawl through a commercial break as a table and trash can get involved. Janela is thrown off the stage through said table and taken out of the match, as Sonny hits both Hager and Jericho with a flying crossbody. Back in the ring, he stays in control until Jericho hits him with a fire extinguisher. Jake Hager gets the pin and the victory for his team. Jericho cuts a promo after the match. He admits the Inner Circle had a terrible night at All Out. All three participants in the Casino Battle Royale lost. Sammy is at home injured, and his boots are still squishing from all the mimosa. So he's changing course. He's partnering with Hager full time and joining the tag team division. This is fine. However, there are so many good tag teams in AEW that it feels like they could get lost in the shuffle. I get that Inner Circle has already feuded with pretty much every babyface group in the company, but I think there's still a good singles run in Jericho with Hager as his heavy. I can also see how MJF and Wardlow already fit that bill, so in the end, I'm going to trust Le Champion and see what he does with this. MJF is still at campaign headquarters. He complains that Dictator John used an illegal move, so he should be the champ. But he doesn't blame John, he blames his campaign and disbands it. He takes a moment to scream in Nina's face. When Wardlow tries to get his attention, MJF chews him out too, and blames him for the loss at All Out. Wardlow begins to stand up for himself before Max reminds him who signs his paychecks. Apparently MJF. He should fire Wardlow, but he sees potential in him. After threatening to throw Wardlow's family on the street, he backs down. MJF says now is the time for planning to get back on top where they belong. Jon Moxley is brooding in a hallway or something. When he found out Lance Archer won the Battle Royale, he knew this wouldn't be easy, but nothing worth doing ever is. He proved against MJF that you can't talk your way into being the AEW World Champion. He's number one, and he knows he's unstoppable right now. People may look at Archer and see a monster, but he sees just a man. So ask yourself, when this title is on the line, would you really bet against Moxley? Back in the ring, FTR are celebrating their new championships with Tully Blanchard as the rest of the tag team division surrounds them. Cash and Dax insult the other teams while praising the division as a whole. They zero in on next week's opponents, Jurassic Express, and call Jungle Boy a cosplay Tarzan. But they cross the line when they call Luchasaurus a dumbass dinosaur and throw some papers in his face. They're chased to the outside, where they huddle up until Marco Stunt dumps their beer cooler on them. The other teams enjoy some cake. When we come back, Taz is on commentary recapping what happened to Darby Allin in the Casino Battle Royale. He claims to hear a scuttlebutt going on backstage, and we hear Darby's music play. Out comes Ricky Starks, dressed as Darby again. He mocks Darby before breaking character and asks into the camera if Allin is relentless or reckless. Either way, next time their paths cross, he's going to relentlessly beat Darby's ass. Commentary recaps the two women's matches from All Out as we get our first women's action of the evening. Ty Conti comes out with an emotional look on her face as JR explains that she's officially signed with AEW today. Yes, I love Ty Conti. Her and Anna Jay are adorable together on social media, and I absolutely want her to join Dark Order. Unfortunately, her first official match is against the native beast, Nyla Rose, who comes out per usual with Vicky Guerrero. Ty starts off aggressive, but Nyla's strength is too much. All the more reason her cheating and interference by Vicky are kind of unnecessary. Conti locks in an armbar, but Nyla uses it to pick her up and deliver a beast bomb for the win. Vicky screams something annoying into the microphone as Nyla attacks Ty afterwards. The women's champion Hikaru Shida makes the save. During the match, commentary informs us that the Young Bucks have been fined $5,000 each for attacking Alex Marvez, and Cody will have breaking news after Dynamite. JR is interviewing Kenny Omega in the locker room. He asks how Omega has processed everything from the weekend. Kenny says he was champion, and now he's not. It is what it is in this profession. He admits that he and Hangman had chemistry in the ring together, but he says that there was too much pressure on him when AEW began to be the ace of the company, and he lost his way, until he found a purpose in his team with Hangman Page. JR asks what's next. Omega says he discovered a side of Adam Page that he doesn't like. Hangman can try and reconcile with the Young Bucks if he wants, but as for him, he's got new goals in the singles division. And no, I do not have a cowboy hat for my JR, and it makes me sad. It's time for the main event. The natural Dustin Rhodes challenges Mr. Brody Lee for the TNT Championship after his gutsy performance against the Dark Order at All Out. Dustin comes out in the same blue outfit and face paint he wore at the pay-per-view. That better be his Chase variant in Series 2. Only John Silver accompanies Mr. Brody Lee to the ring, although that seems to just be his way of holding the belt during his match. Dustin jumps Brody before the bell to get some licks in outside the ring. Once the match actually begins, he lays some chops into the big man. Unlike his brother, Dustin's size allows him to hold his own physically with monsters like Brody Lee. The Exalted One can't just power his way out this time. Dustin hits all his signature moves, then busts out a Canadian Destroyer and a Crossroads. He dominates for the majority of the match. Then John Silver tries to interrupt, but gets power slammed, so the ref lets it slide. Dustin hits a pile driver that would have won the match had Brody not grabbed the rope. In the end, Dustin misses what looked like a sling blade, and Mr. Brody Lee catches him with 2 big boots and a discus lariat to retain his championship. The Dark Order comes out with Stu Grayson carrying an unconscious QT Marshall over his shoulder. Mr. Brody Lee is still upset with Colt Cabana, so Evil Uno escorts him to the back. Numbers 5 and 10 hold up Dustin for a cheap low blow as Mr. Brody Lee stands tall with his belt to close out the show. After the show, we get the breaking news from Cody. He's apparently judging a talent show that looks like America's Got Talent on steroids. I do love AGT, so maybe I'll check this out? Overall, this was a pretty good episode, but I think I was looking for a little bit more out of the show after All Out. Yes, I'm glad Matt apologized, and Miro's debut was epic. The Elite storyline continued, the main event was a great big guy battle with some real emotional stakes, and there certainly wasn't anything that ruined the mood like, say, a guy fighting through an obvious concussion. However, the women's division is still on life support even after the jump start they were given by Thunder Rosa. Plus, as good as the storylines were in the lead up to All Out, I feel like they should have finished at the pay-per-view. Right now it feels like many of them are continuing and starting to get stale. But, on the Miro debut alone, it's 5 out of 5 from me. I popped so hard for that. Okay, that will do it for this week's Dynamite. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I usually take Fridays off, but I'll be back with an action figure review of SmackDown on Saturday, so be sure to check that out. As always, if you found me and enjoyed the video, make sure to do all that normal YouTube stuff. Smash that like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. Again, you can also talk to me over on Twitter, at PSUOptimus. But until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.